Don't say any F's and stuff.
Let's go!
Blazing the steel. Bring the heat. Mix it non-stop. With the hottest DJ.
I'm your host, Joshua Diaz.
Non-stop.
There is no investigation. This boy has...
There is not, really? It is to me.
Don't say any F's and stuff.
But I had to put her on the side and where
I'm gonna do what I gotta do for me and my boys and my kids.
Don't say any F's and stuff.
There is no investigation. This boy
There
has...
is not, really? It is to me. Rise, idiot.
I've done my best. It's hard, that's real tough.
But I had to put her on the side and where with the boys.
I'm gonna do what I gotta do for me and my boys and my kids.
Don't say any F's and stuff.
Live from the NBD Production Studios, you're in the lab with your host, Joshua Diaz.
There is no investigation. This boy has...
There is not, really? It is to me.
What's up?
But I had to put her on the side and where with the boys. But I had to...
What up?
There is no
What's
investigation.
going on?
Don't say any F's and stuff.
But I had to put her... on the side and where about the boys.
Welcome to the lab, everybody. I'm your host, Joshua Diaz. Thank you for being here. I hope everybody had a fantastic Christmas, and we're kind of right in the gooch of the holidays, as I call it. I won't go into specific detail about why I call it that, but I didn't invent it. Anyway, moving on. Rough start, all good, and so good to see all of you. It's been a few days. As I said, if you haven't seen the community post, that we will be this time all week at this time. So please hit that reminder button. I always hear people always tell me, I didn't get a reminder. And I'm like, I don't know. YouTube's got a really weird reminder little situation going on there. And so that's always fun. Let's see here. I thought I had... hold on. Yeah, weird. Let me just grab the number, and the phone lines will be open. So if you happen to call, they'll happen to be possibly available. I don't know. Who knows? I say that, and then I never pay attention to... I should pay attention better, but I don't pay attention better. If I get a reminder, it's late, but there's no time. Yeah, I know. Trust me. I know all about it. Okay, so here's the... Okay, that thing's huge. This is the biggest call-in number I've ever seen in my life. Muscles and the gooch. It's the weirdest part of the year, really. Besides the month of May, is there a stranger date or is there a stranger time than right here, right now? I don't think so personally, but you know, that's just me. Okay, so we are going to talk the Moscow murder tonight. But the one that I did want to start off really fast and just share a little story from Christmas Day. Now, my sister, who I try to annoy on a regular basis, like as hard as I possibly can, some things never change. I remember being a little boy and like I loved to turn the TV off when she would turn it on, and she'd be like dancing in front of the TV, and then I'd just walk up and I'd go click, and I'd turn it off, and then she'd freak out, and then you know what I mean? So, you know, that kind of stuff's been going on forever. And so being the content monster that I am, I'm kidding about that, by the way. But I said, you know what? Let me record myself. Annoying my sister to death. Because it was like after dinner and we were all just sitting around, and all I wanted to do was pick on my sister. I just wanted to give her crap. Just give her crap. Because, see, one of the things that she loves about her brother is that I annoy her, and that's what I do. And anyway, I ended up, if you're familiar with the show, you guys know that my nephew has this uncanny ability to clog toilets. I have had to emergency DoorDash a plunger to the house because one night he was plunging the toilet and snapped the plunger in half. So then, you know, we sent a titanium one over there that had like shock reverb on it and all this stuff. I made that up, but we did I sent a really nice deluxe thing over there. Like, it was a nice blah. And the audio that I captured, just proves once again that you can't make this stuff up. And this is what I ended up capturing. Now, just you know, listen closely.
I didn't hear a toilet flush. Wait.
So my sister, who's sitting right next to me, she's happy that she's not the one. She's happy that she's not the one getting messed with. But my nephew comes walking out of the bathroom. He was walking out of the bathroom, and I didn't hear the toilet flush. So let me see. So let me just restart this.
I didn't hear a toilet flush. Wait.
I like clogged it.
So then he comes out and he says, I clogged it, but then I plunged it and unclogged it. My sister starts laughing incessantly.
Okay, so how come I didn't hear the toilet flush, Owen?
All right, so
And by the way, Suzanne, this is your son, Owen, the one that I sent a plunger to via DoorDash, right? How do you clog so many toilets? Suzanne, does he clog your toilet a lot?
Yes.
You clog your home toilet a lot?
I clogged my girlfriend's toilet before too.
You're just going around town clogging toilets.
Caller, go ahead. You're on the air. You there, caller? Hello? Hello? No? You there? Hello? Hello?
I didn't hear a toilet flush.
Hi.
Can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you. You're on the air.
Hi. First of all, I love your show.
Thank you.
I just want a quick question to ask you. I've been waiting and watching for the Some Rules project that you're going to be doing.
Yes.
Have I missed it?
You have not. No. So, great question. So I just the other day put out a community post on it. Right now, we're still working on the distribution of this. So it's going to be going up on a bunch of different places, and we're just trying to reach a wider audience. So, it was a little rushed, but I believe January 15th is the tentative date for the very first episode. But we're going to have it on Google. We're going to have it on iHeartRadio, Spotify. We haven't decided if YouTube yet, but you'll be able to hear it, and I will be promoting it nonstop.
Okay, I hope I didn't miss it because I've been waiting, been watching and waiting for it,
Totally.
and I'm very happy you're doing it.
Well,
It deserves that justice, but love your show. I'm sorry to get off topic.
not
Thank
at
you.
all. No, not at all. Great question. Thank you for calling.
You're welcome. Thank you for what you do.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Wait.
I like clogged
So you hear my sister, because she knows I'm recording her. I got the camera right in her face. She goes, "Did you catch that?"
vent.
Okay, so how come I didn't hear the toilet flush, Owen?
All right, so we're on.
And by the way, Suzanne, this is your son, Owen, the one that I sent a plunger to via DoorDash, right? How do you clog so many toilets?
Then you ask him that, it's like asking Albert Einstein, "How'd you split the atom?" And he's like,
Suzanne, does he clog your toilet a lot?
Yes.
You clog your home toilet a lot?
I clogged my girlfriend's toilet before too.
So then I say, "You clog your own toilet?" He says, "I clog my girlfriend's toilet too." And then his mother's response,
You're just going around town clogging toilets.
so she was disappointed in the whole situation. Just like I was. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. I thought I'd share a little something with you because I thought it was interesting. And, lightning does strike twice sometimes. You never know. Hey, let's go.
Let's go!
All right. Moving on. Let's see. Amy. Wait, what did I do with the... There it is. You should send plungers via DoorDash. I do all the time. Well, not all the time, but I have. And so let's go ahead and just take a listen here. This is from Fox 13 just a few hours ago.
It has been 6 weeks, meanwhile, since 4 students were murdered near the University of Idaho, and we are still no closer to learning what happened that night. Police have not shared any new leads with the public, but they say the rumors surrounding this case are getting out of control.
We find ourselves not only tracking those rumors down and trying to quell them, but also we see our tips that come in are geared more toward the rumor, not the facts that have been put out. In many ways, it just re-victimizes folks who have already suffered this terrible trauma.
All right, so far, Chief Fry says some of the rumors have even led to death threats against the victims' families. As of today, no suspects have been publicly identified, but police say they've gotten over 12,000 tips so far. Wow.
And probably most of them not important. So here we go again. Is the sleuthing, is it a thing? Does it help? Does it not help? I can think of a couple cases where it has helped, but how much does it really help and how much does it hinder? Does it hinder more than it helps? Now, once again, I'm a firm believer that police don't solve the crimes, but they solve them with the help of the public. Okay? That's just kind of how I've always sort of felt about it. Typically, when these searches happen for missing people or, whatever, it's usually not the searchers that find them. It's some turkey hunter in the hills somewhere who ends up finding the victim, or, you know, for lack of a better term. So how detrimental are we? Well, I would say very. You know, you have people, they're like zooming in on like brands of shoes and haircuts and pieces of clothing, and all that's fine. Like speculation, that's all part of the deal. That's all part of the thing. That is not a major issue at all. Like if you want to hop on your YouTube channel and pretend that you're some like super sleuth or whatever the frig, you know, people call themselves these days, if that's what you want to do, fine. When you start interfering, like this TikToker girl that's getting her ass suit off, and, you know, I'm telling you, you know, that's not going to help. That's not going to help anything.
Taking the facts that we know, we're taking all tips that we know, and we're putting those pieces to the puzzle together and painting that picture. But we're moving forward on this investigation, and we're not going to stop until we get a conclusion.
It's been 6 weeks since 4 University of Idaho students were murdered in their off-campus home. 6 weeks in, KREM 2 is still pushing for information from investigators of the Moscow homicides. KREM 2's Shannon Mowdy sat down one-on-one with the police chief to find out where the investigation stands today. And what can you tell us tonight, Shannon?
Moscow police are still gathering those tips and waiting on lab results tonight, and they are urging anyone who may know anything to come forward, submit a tip, because you may hold the key to solving this case.
In a release Tuesday afternoon, Moscow police announced there's still no identified suspect in the quadruple homicide on King Road, though they believe someone knows the missing piece of this picture.
We've had over 17,000 tips.
Chief James Fry says the small department is still staying focused on finding facts in a muddle of rumor.
The online stuff, you know, that's going to happen, right? I mean, that's just the day and age we're in. There's a lot of people who are sending us tips and stuff through that, and we're going to look into all those as well. So some of it's very useful, some of it can be distracting.
A nationwide team's going through all those bits of information, looking for that one piece that could change everything.
Maybe you saw something that you don't know is the key, but maybe detectives and law enforcement know that that's the thing they need.
That's exactly right, and that's why we've asked people, you know, with any pictures from that night or any video, to send it to us, send it to our tip line.
Hello.
And coming up tonight on KREM 2 News at 5, what Chief Fry says about the future of the investigation and why an arrest would be far from the end of the story here. Live in Moscow, Shannon Mowdy, KREM 2 News.
So, you know, once again, you know, the same, we're hearing the same thing over and over and over. One of the major things that I've kind of thought was odd is the fact that there has been no more press conferences, and I don't know if there's any more press conferences scheduled. Now, as you know, odd as, you know, I mean, because they have been kind of keeping up with the press conferences, but no more. You know, I mean. Is there a reason for that? I don't know. I would be very curious to find that out. But here's another thought that I had, and I'll just go ahead and play this for you too. And this is on the channel. If you haven't seen it, here it is.
What's going on, everybody? Josh from the lab here. And today I wanted to talk real quick about the Moscow, Idaho murders, because there's one thing that's been kind of sticking out to me for a very long time is the lack of an official reward fund. There is no official reward fund for tips or anything leading to the conclusion of this case. It is not being offered by any official agency, which is odd because Crime Stoppers is usually all over cases that need information given to them. Crime Stoppers is a program that started around 1977 out of Virginia. It's a nonprofit organization, and they are everywhere, and especially in Southwest Idaho, or I believe Northwest Idaho, excuse me, but Southwest as well. They tout a very active and aggressive Crime Stoppers program that does offer money for tips that lead to resolving major crimes. Now, this would be considered a major crime in their jurisdiction, and yet nothing. Now they're offering rewards for other things in the area unrelated, like some robberies and stuff. They're, Crime Stoppers is out there very active. I think they just talked about one just a couple days ago, but they've said nothing about these murders and nothing about the incident. Matter of fact, it goes so far as to, they asked if Crime Stoppers was involved. A media member asked if Crime Stoppers was involved. And then they also asked if the Canadian police were involved. The Canadian border is about 4 hours away. And they wanted to say, we don't want to talk about any locations, about any possible suspects, because we don't have one. Well, that may be true. And even if it's not, I understand why they do this. However, Crime Stoppers not being involved infers one thing to me. They don't really need tips. If they truly needed tips, Crime Stoppers would be out there offering rewards. Now you say, oh, Josh, how could they not need tips? They say that they're looking for, a certain car, look, that can be true. However, it's kind of the make them look one way and go the other situation. Now, that's just my opinion. And it's something, hey, guys, chew on this for a while. Okay, we bought ourselves some time while we track this person down. We have leads, Crime Stopper, please, we don't need you. I mean, it's just a thought. And I don't know if that's the case, but Crime Stoppers not being involved tells me that they aren't really wanting that much information, or, they say, yeah, send us your tips. But what else are they going to say? Don't send us any tips. There's a lot of smoke and mirrors going on here for good reason. And people are frustrated and upset. But I'm telling you, I truly feel that they are kind of circling the wagon here, and that this case is picking up steam by the day. Now, once again, just my opinion. Thank you for watching. Like, share, and subscribe to The Lab, and take care. We'll see you next time. All right, so once again, just kind of my opinion, my thoughts, but I read that article out of the New York Times or New York Post, and I thought that it was extremely interesting because and I know I saw let me address this really fast because Joseph did make a good point, and let's see. Ellie says reward would cause many weird people to come out and bog them down. 14,000 tips, 12,000 tips. They already have that issue. Now, that's what Crime Stoppers does. And you don't just get money for calling the phone line. You get money when the tip actually works out into something. So, to say, well, it's because of this or it's because of that. Well, we don't know that. We don't know that. But if Crime Stoppers is offering money for like local robberies in Moscow,
and haven't offered a dime, hasn't even addressed that this is happening. Why? Why no more press conferences? Why no reward fund? Why no tangible information? Why? And I think the answer to that is they have their eyes locked on somebody. They are just waiting for a few more things, in my personal opinion. I think that they're crossing the T's, dotting the I's. Or else they would be begging, and I mean absolutely begging for tips. They'd be begging for anything. 17,000 tips. One said 12, one said 14 or 17 or whatever it is. I don't know how many tips it is, but it's a lot. Okay. So to say that, they'd be inundated with tips, well, that's just that's a non-starter right there, because they already are. And for Crime Stoppers to not be involved is completely odd. It really is. It's completely odd, because they're always involved. And I'm telling you, the Idaho Division of Crime Stoppers, I looked it up. Not all Crime Stoppers pay, and not all Crime Stoppers programs pay well. Idaho Crime Stoppers does. So, I've found that kind of interesting. I think that they are onto something. I think that they've been onto something. And let's move on here.
Thank all the people working on trying to figure this out. And it really means a lot.
A father of one of the victims speaks out, a former tenant talks about the crime scene, and online sleuths target an ex-boyfriend. We delve into the latest into the University of Idaho murder investigation with legendary former homicide detective Phil Waters. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Jesse Weber. Another week, another day, and still no arrests, no publicly identifiable suspect, and no recovered murder weapon in the University of Idaho quadruple murder case. This is the killings of 21-year-old Kaylee Gonsalves, 21-year-old Madison Mogan, 20-year-old Zana Kernodle, and 20-year-old Ethan Chapin. Their bodies were...
By the way, before we get there, and I'll touch on it a little bit as well, but, there's this new guy, that used to live there, who gave an interview and said, that you can hear everything at any time, whatever. It's just like, I don't understand how people can just speak for everybody. It's just like, oh yeah, they should be able to, they would be able to hear everything. They would hear everything. They would hear everything. It's like, dude, what do you mean? What does that, what do you mean by that? Just because the house is loud and you found it extremely loud doesn't mean everybody else feels that way, or it doesn't mean that everybody else can hear as well as you are, or that everybody is as hyper vigilant as you are, and maybe they were drunk. Who knows?
Were found in their rental home on November 13th, and there's still so many questions that we have. Now, while we don't know what is happening behind the scenes with law enforcement and investigators, what we can discuss is what's happening publicly, because we do have some updates to go through. And to help me talk through this and get the latest in the investigation about where we're at, I'm joined once again by Phil Waters, who has been with us the last few weeks to go over this case.
I kind of like Phil.
Phil is a former legendary homicide detective who has worked over 400 cases, and he is an expert interrogator. Phil, it's great to have you once again back here on Sidebar.
Good morning, Jesse. I appreciate y'all having me back.
You're welcome.
Yeah, of course. And I want to start with right now, Ben Mogan. So Ben Mogan is the father of Madison Mogan. I don't believe he's spoken out previously. I could be mistaken, but this is significant what he said. He spoke to a local media outlet, and he said, while there are still so many questions that haven't been answered in this case, he believes the killer or killers will be caught. So this is kind of a different sense of what we've been seeing online and from the community, where there's this seeming lack of trust in law enforcement. He has said, quote, "From the very beginning, I've known that people don't get away with these things these days. There's too many things that you can get caught up on, like DNA and videos everywhere. This isn't something that people get away with. That goes unsolved." He also said, that how state investigators have been getting kind of outside help from the FBI. And he said that with these resources, they should be able to solve the case. He said, quote, "I have to just know that they know what they're doing. And if they don't, then they're going to know someone that does." What do you make of his statements? Do you agree with him?
Well, to a degree, I do. And I'm, of course, heartfelt prayers have been going up for him and the other family members of these young people that, a tragic event.
Wait a minute. Did he spell his name?
Members of these,
Has anybody ever seen Phil spelled that way? And don't lie. Seriously.
Of course,
never have I ever.
Heartfelt prayers have been going up for him and the other family members of these young people that, a tragic event. I do agree with him in the sense that there are a lot of resources now today from a technological standpoint that has brought the conclusion to cases brought about in a more.
Now, Phil, and I mean that literally, not Phil, like Uncle Phil or Dr. Phil, like Phil, like you're filling, something. The only thing that would make it more interesting, and I'm kind of down with the odd spelling, but like, I remember I knew this girl one time, and she said she named her son Kamari. Kamari is a cute, beautiful name of a little boy, but she spelt it Kamari. Two I's at the end, and I always ask. I said, "So why is there two I's? Like, is that how you spell it?" And she goes, "No, that's how I wanted to spell it." And I said, "So that's not really a name." No, but yet for some reason she put two I's at the end of the kid's name, like it was some like genius thing to do. Well, and I remember she would say things like, "Well, nobody's gonna spell their name like that," and I go, "Well, no crap." Sorry. Back to you, Phil, F-I-L.
Timely way. Now, I use that word timely loosely because it may take the timely manner in this particular case, it may be 2 months, it may be 2 years.
Wow.
And it could go on from there. But the statement that he makes about people just don't get away with this kind of thing in today's world, that is true to a degree, but again, this is when it comes down to is just gonna be good old fashioned detective work that gets this thing solved, and that's just hitting the bricks, getting out there, talking to people, processing the evidence that's been collected, and
Thank you,
seeing where
Victoria.
that evidence leads. So I think there's a better chance that something like this, especially the scope of this particular crime, will be resolved.
Yeah, and we know that the chief of police has come out and basically tried to reassure the public that we got this under control. We're in charge of this. We know what's happening.
So I know there's been some questions about the leadership in this investigation. What I want people to know is that
this poor guy, who, look, I have a lot of respect for him and the job that they're doing, but like no one has ate more crap in this public arena than Chief Fry. spelled F-R-I-E. Just kidding, F-R-Y.
This is a Moscow
Hang in
Police
there,
Department
Chief.
investigation. We're utilizing the resources of the FBI and the state police, but we pick the investigators. My command team oversees this. We have 94 years of experience between us.
We do have outside help, but there's so much we don't know behind the scenes. I feel the reason, or one of the reasons he came out, Mr. Mogan, is because maybe there's something happening online. Obviously, people have shown an intense interest in this case. He said, quote,
Well, that's
I
true.
can get all my...
And Kelly, do you really think that guy's name is Felipe? Like, in all honesty, Felipe. Caller, go ahead. You're on the air.
This is Victoria. How y'all doing?
What's
up? Hey, what's up? How y'all doing? Has there been any update on Idaho 4? That's what I call them, Idaho 4.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, a lot of people are calling him that. No, and the thing about that is that there's not even any scheduled press conference.
There has to be some. They're working on a lead or something. That's what I'm getting, because there's no. You know what I mean? I just got a feeling.
I think so too, and I think. But look, I said like a week after this was solved that it'd be solved before Christmas. Didn't happen. Missed that one.
I know, but they get a good lead and they're working on it and they're following it and they're down on it hard, like the bloodhounds. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
Or there would be some kind of press or something. I just got to get it feeling.
Well, you would think that they'd be asking for a lot more. They say, okay, well, send us the tips, send us this, send us that, and all of that. I agree, but they're not going to tell you not to do it.
No. They run in the car a lot every day, giving updates and all this, and now it's just been quiet.
Right. Right. No doubt. No doubt. It's been extremely quiet, but I think that's because, and then just personally, I think that, and I think that's kind of the consensus by a lot of people. Yeah, that they have somebody.
Yeah,
in
the
mind.
integrity. Yeah, they pinpointed somebody they're just trying to get.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you on that. Did you have a great Christmas?
Yeah, it was good. The girls had a good one. We stayed home. We done our little thing alone, you know what I'm saying? And of course, we're always alone, but it was a good one. I had my kids, and I'm thankful for that, I couldn't ask for any better. Can't complain. It can always be worse.
That's a fact. Yeah. And then you kind of think about, these, folks and their
and their lost loved ones, the ones they lost. I know, it's so sad. Like, literally, who has the right to complain right now? Like, I just don't see it.
Right. Right. No,
But did you have a good one?
Go ahead.
Did you and the Poochies have a good Christmas?
Yeah. Well, they did. Yeah. Christmas is really for kids and dogs, and I have both. So yeah, we had a great time. It was my nephew clogged the toilet as usual, and then we had good dinner. I know, he's an absolute monster.
We got our little hefty Pooch biscuit in the bed with us, and then we got Bandit and Toonie. So, and then the baby. So we're good to go.
So you're locked in.
And we're watching them.
You're locked.
We're locked in on the lab.
Hey,
100.
Perfect. Well, I love that.
Yeah, this is our what do you call it? Matinee.
Well, perfect.
The lab is our matinee.
We're going to be here all week at this time too, so make sure to keep tuning in. I appreciate that very much, and thank you for calling and saying hi. I'm glad you had a great Christmas.
Oh yeah, I just wanted to call in and let you know, keep doing your thing. Your show is the shish.
I love it.
And we love it.
Thank you. Thank you.
We love it.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Keep doing your thing. And tell Chris Madonna, he's awesome.
I sure
the
will.
Interview room rock.
Yes, it does. Absolutely.
Yes, it does. All right. Have a good one, Josh.
All right. Thank you much. Bye-bye. just, great calls. Great calls. Annie B with $4.99. Thank you. And I shiz you not. I love I shiz you not. I like those dogs are hilarious. They really are. Thank you for that $20 super chat. Very kind of you. And we love you too, Annie B. So let's go ahead and just take. Let's see. Take a look here. And also, it's been slow going, but get on that clip channel. If somebody will please subscribe to the clip channel. We'll be going live over there, doing some little after shows, when Peyton gets back from his vacation at Disneyland. Guy's in Disneyland. I'm like, dude, this is like our busiest week, right? This is our busiest week. And he's like, Dad, I'm going to Disneyland with my girlfriend. Get bent. And I'm like, okay, well, you're just going to leave me here holding the bag? Is that what you're going to do? That's what you're going to do? Go to Disneyland and where dreams come true? And I'm going to be sitting here. Tap, tap, curly, whirly, cuckoo, says best show. Actually choose this over my paranormal shows. Now that's big if you know me. Hey, we can get paranormal on it. You know what I mean? I don't want to, but if I have to, I'll do it. I'm getting a reading right now. Hold on. The lady from TikTok that accused the professor of being involved is crazy. That's what my carrot cards just said. Moscow homicide update. Let's just keep going. Moscow, Idaho Police Department, MPD, is providing the following information update to the public on the known facts surrounding the 4 murders that occurred on November 13th in Moscow, Idaho. Disney is miserable. Yeah, well, enjoy. You're sitting here making our dreams come true. That's all I care about. Okay, so at this time in the investigation, detectives do not believe the female associate professor and chair of the history department at the University of Idaho suing a TikTok user for defamation is involved in this crime. The Moscow Police Department will not provide a statement about the ongoing civil process. So the fact that somebody had to take the time out of their day to even write that statement, and I just had a premonition about it, and I'll do it, for you guys. Here's my carrot cards. Sleuth intuition. Disneyland, where you spend your annual income. Yeah, look, dude, it's up to him. He can do whatever he wants. Ba-da-da-da. Okay. Can you do a call-in show with your magic 8-ball? Yeah, I mean, I definitely can. I don't know. I've been getting more spiritual lately. Let's see here. There have been numerous inquiries from members of the public and media to verify digital media published online. Any picture or video provided through the official public records request is authentic. However, once a record is released, we can no longer verify if it was its authenticity, as we do not know if anything has been altered. Detectives are aware of videos distributed by local businesses, and investigators believe someone has information that adds context to what occurred on the night of the murders and continue requesting additional pictures, videos, and social media content. Our focus remains on the investigation, not in individuals' activities displayed in the tip. Whether you believe it is significant or not, your information might be one of the puzzle pieces that help solve these murders. Digital submissions of tips and leads will not be publicly disclosed due to an ongoing commitment to keep information private, and details may be pertinent to the ongoing criminal investigation.
There is no investigation. This boy has.
There is not really this to me.
So, okay, well, we got more. Progress continues to locate the white 2011-2013 Hyundai Elantra believed to be in the immediate area of the King Road residence during the early morning hours of November 13th. Investigators believe the occupant may have critical information to share regarding this case and have identified over 22,000 vehicles. That is a ton of whips. If you know of or own a vehicle matching this description, or know of anyone who may be driving this specific vehicle on the days preceding or the days of the murder, please forward that information to the tip line. No suspect has been identified, and only vetted information that does not hinder the investigation will be released to the public. We encourage referencing official releases for accurate. So, I mean, they're literally waging a public information defense, and they're, if you ask me, they're doing a pretty good job of it. They really are. You know, you can see that they're trying to somehow, some way control the narrative, because you have to, or else these things just go nuts. It isn't like when Bundy did what Bundy did, or Dahmer, or whatever. It's nothing like that anymore. The world is so connected. Everything is connected, and things, rumors, speculation, lies, truths can spread like wildfire. Now, some of those aren't a bad thing, and then some of them are obviously like the worst thing ever. I mean, there are people out there that would legitimately destroy this investigation and justice for the families for clicks. No question about it. I in my heart of hearts, there's many like that, which is scary, and that's not a good thing. Let me see. All right. So, anyway, there's that. Back to Jesse Weber and Felipe.
News about it right from there, and I don't have to try and drudge through all the misinformation. The reason I say this is because people online it seems to me, are having such a need to try to find the killer that they're looking at all the places that either police have already looked or police have said that is just a red herring. And the reason I bring this up is there's a young man named Jack Decor. Hopefully I'm pronouncing his last name correctly. He's the ex-boyfriend of Kaylee Gonsalves. He dated her for 5 years. They broke up 3 weeks before the murder. He was looked into by police. He was cleared as a suspect, and even Kaylee's family has said he is not involved in this, but internet sleuths do not agree. According to his aunt, who's spoken out, she says the internet has come after him. They think he's the killer.
Yeah, what do you guys think about that? I mean, even if you think that he's the killer, which, you know, we have no way of knowing if he is or isn't. If anybody has any proof, I would recommend that you just share it with law enforcement. But look, I don't think that you can suspect all you want, but I mean, when you start going after people and targeting them, and like, just say that, you know, this person is innocent, which is, you know, everybody could potentially be a suspect or innocent or whatever. But just from a picture, like you see a picture online and you go, oh my God, you know, this guy this guy did it. And you're going, well, why? Felipe is the kind of guy who would make up a crime for views. No doubt. No doubt. It is interesting. Well, look, think about this. You witness, or not witness, but if you stumble upon a horrific crime scene, it's not going to be great. Everyone is innocent until proven guilty, and especially in cases like this, especially in situations like this, because there are so many players involved. Tons of players involved. Yeah, Felipe goes hard. I like him.
It's been tough on him. So it seems to me, Mr. Mogan coming out and saying, leave it to the police, is a way to kind of, temper the flames that we're seeing online. And I'm curious that that's putting pressure on police right now to solve this quickly so that the wrong people aren't targeted.
Well, I don't think there's any more pressure on law enforcement than what is already there.
Dude,
and what is already self-imposed.
Jesse, can Phil host the show?
Look.
Yeah, what do you mean more pressure? Because why? Because there's some internet psychos running around? I mean, I'm more worried about the killer that's running around with the knife stabbing people than, I'm worried about both, to be honest with you. But, yeah, there is no more pressure. And Jesse just got handed a spoonful of shut up pudding.
I know that when I worked cases...
And trust me, I've had a lot of shut up pudding in my life that's been served to me. I appreciate being able to count on your integrity and truth, Josh and team. Thank you so much. Peyton's in Disneyland, so he doesn't get any of that love. Let's see.
In Houston, especially when it was a multiple fatality case like this one, and you have to go to the family and speak to them about this, and you have to have empathy, you have to have compassion for those folks in the discussion of the scene itself, because you want to be honest with the family about what is going on, and I think that's what's happening here. I don't think the chief, the optics of this thing when it first got started, horrible, only because this was so out of the realm of what the chief had experienced in his career, and especially in this community. But now it would appear to me that they have this communication better on track. And I think that when they, at the very beginning of this thing, the Moscow PD realized they were really in over their head in terms of investigative experience. And they reached out to the state and the FBI. I've said this before. It's not like Die Hard, gentlemen, I give you the FBI. That's just not the way this works. So they had the foresight and the wisdom to do this. So now they have these resources all marshaled to come up with, hopefully, finding the right person who's done this wrong thing. But in regards to the boy, go ahead, Jesse. Do you want to?
No, I was going to say, regarding the boyfriend, how can we be sure he was properly ruled out? And I understand why people are going after him. When you talk about stabbing, it seems like a kind of a personal, intimate event. So you would look at somebody who maybe had something personal against Kaylee. How can we quiet any of the, the online?
Little bit. I hope you feel better. Take care. Get some rest. Thank you for being here.
Speculation against the boyfriend. Can we trust law enforcement? They properly ruled him out.
Well, that's just going to have to happen. But the problem is with what has happened with the boyfriend and this online stuff. This is the bad part about the online generated theories and so forth and so on regarding anything for that matter. But in this particular case, people hide behind their names, their Twitter names, whatever, and they just put this stuff out. I don't think this bell is ever going to be unrung regarding the boyfriend, the ex-boyfriend. It's
never, never. I mean, and I'll say this right here and right now, and people are going to get rowdy about it, and don't, because I don't care, and but like Chris Watts' girlfriend, okay, there are people to this day that believe that she had something to do with it. Now, whether she did or she didn't is kind of immaterial, because she was never charged by police. She was interrogated by police. But I mean, she had to change her name. Now, just think if she had absolutely nothing to do with this, and she's a victim of Chris Watts as well, the psychotic, weird, blah, 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 blah. Okay. And I know that not a lot of people, I know that there are people out there that are going to be like, well, Josh, she did this and she did that. And I'm just like, the case is over. I don't even, that case is done. She's not being charged. Feel however you want about it, and move on, because, and this will happen with this kid. Let's say the killer is somebody who, just some random person, some random human that never met them. And for the rest of his life, he'll somehow, some way, she wanted to change her name, in my opinion. Wouldn't you? Jeffrey Dahmer's brother, I think it's his little brother, changed his name as well. Wouldn't you? I would. I don't think she wanted to change her name. It wasn't like, I don't think that she set this whole thing up where she wanted to change her name. She just kind of had to. 858-299-2504 is the number.
Genie's out of the bottle, and people are going to continue to do what they do, because that's the nature of people. In terms of him being ruled out, the first thing I would have done, and I'm sure this is one of the first things they did in this investigation, is you start working this thing from the inside out, and you're going to start at the most personal relationships with those 4 victims, all of them, not just Kaylee. You're going to, all of them. And in this particular case, Kaylee has an ex-boyfriend that she had just broken up with. Well, certainly that's somebody that the detectives are going to look at right off the bat. They're going to bring him in. They're going to interview him. And they're going to find out where he was when this happened. So if that's been verified, if nothing can put him at that scene, then that's it. He's ruled out. Now, that doesn't mean that if something
no, I'm not talking about the wife. I'm talking about the girlfriend.
That would cause them to have to go revisit him and talk to him about explaining why we find this there at the scene. Then they'll do that. But I mean, in terms of this young man, he's just being raked over the coals unmercifully, and it's improper.
Improper, psychotic, mentally ill, evil, blah, blah, blah. No, I would never, ever, ever, ever do that. Never. I was talking about, people think that the girlfriend has something to do with it. So CM says you work crime scenes from the outside in, didn't he? Yeah, he did say that.
Well, again, the hope is that they're looking at everybody and everything. 2 of the people that were ruled out very early in this case were the 2 surviving roommates. We've talked about this before on Sidebar, that the victims were found on the 2nd and 3rd floors, but there were 2 surviving roommates who apparently might have slept through everything. They were on the ground floor. They were not harmed in any way. Here's what's interesting. It's come out that a former tenant of that house, somebody who had graduated, I think, in 2020.
Jesse doubles down and says she requested a name change. I didn't say anybody forced her to change her name. Like, I didn't say somebody held her down. Yeah, of course it was a request. I mean, anybody can change their name. And how do we know that it wasn't needed? You know, I wasn't living her life. I'm just saying, like, you know, you can kind of be forced to do something without actually being forced to do something. And I'm sure, Jesse, that you are very aware of how overwhelmingly, for lack of a better term, popular that case was. And I think from the outside looking in, and I didn't cover that case. I didn't even pay attention to that case. It was like open and shut to me. And, you know, when cases like that come about, I'm not like, I've read about it and I've watched some stuff, and, you know, I know everything that I felt like I wanted to know about that case. However, I don't think that we truly do understand how disruptive it really is unless it's happened to us.
Earlier, he said the house is a creaky house, you know, and this is his name is.
Yeah, Janier says, exactly, Josh. Hell, if I was her, I'd move and change my name too. I mean, they just sold the house finally.
It's Cole Altanade. And he said,
I don't blame her, but she made the choice to change her name.
that he told ABC News that you could typically hear every movement inside the home. It's, quote, it's definitely an old creaky house. Agree. You can't walk up any of the stairs or any of the floors without everybody in the house knowing it. He also talked about how kind of being a party house and people knew about it. And there are people who are very familiar with the house since it, you know, people were coming in and out. So now we're wondering two things. Is it A, the killer somebody who had been to that house previously? Right, if you take him at his word, somebody who maybe was familiar with the layout of that house. And B, again, there's a lot of questions about the two surviving roommates. How could they not have heard anything? And I know that there was a 911 phone call placed the next day where they talked about, I believe it was an unconscious person. They had called the friends to the house first before they made the 911 phone call. But again, we haven't heard the 911 phone call. We don't know the contents of it. Pure speculation at this point. But hearing how the house was in a state where
caller, go ahead.
Hello.
Hello.
Yes. How are you?
I'm fine. Is this Nita?
Yes, sir, it is.
Let's go. Nita, what's up?
I'm just sitting here listening to you guys, and, you know, I've changed my mind about what I think's happened so many times. You know, it just goes back and forth, and, you know, I'm not sure anymore, you know, what happened, or it's crazy. And, you know, I think they're getting close. I do. I think they've got somebody in mind, and they're just trying to completely figure it out. Yeah.
So what was your theory before?
Well, I thought that it was possibly the ex-boyfriend.
The one that everybody's accusing now?
Yeah.
The redhead fella?
And then but then they said he was in Boise that night.
Yeah.
Was his alibi. But we saw pictures of the two girls in the same clothes I did on another channel.
Yeah.
With him sitting there. You know, so I don't know.
Interesting.
I get confused, but it was somebody I think had been watching them, whether they knew him for very long or not. I think it's somebody that had been watching.
Right.
And
do you think it was like a slighted, like that I think this person, so my whole thing is, I think that it has something to do with the fraternity. That's all I suspect. I don't know anything from there. I just know that fraternities are weird and that they were involved in fraternities. And that fraternities can get weird, and that there's a lot of strange people that join fraternities and do really odd things at fraternities and hazing and whatever. And so to me, that seems reasonable. I don't know who would do it. I'm just saying that's what I think. Now, I'm sure I'm wrong, but that's just how I feel.
Well, and I think that when Kaylee asked Maddie what she told Adam, and she said, I told Adam everything, I think that had something to do with it. I don't know if they saw something or knew something they shouldn't have. And when she told Adam they knew, then that prompted someone to want to get rid of them.
Right.
Because I think they thought if she knew, then Kaylee and Ethan and Zaynab knew also. So, that bugs me, that what she told Adam. Because Maddie, or Kaylee, kind of had a higher pitch to her voice with, Maddie, what did you tell Adam? Like, she wasn't mad, but she was, a little upset, I think, to find out what she had told Adam.
Right.
So,
well,
I don't know.
That video is odd. Who knows exactly? But to me, that conversation that they had, that just that little bit stands out to me in a major way. But but I don't know why it does. It just does. You know what I mean?
I know it bugs me too. So I hope eventually we find out what she told Adam. And see, Jack, the ex, and Adam were roommates. So if Adam went and told Jack that Maddie had told him everything, if it had pertained to Jack, it's possible he did do it. I just, or somebody in the fraternity.
Nina, could you imagine a scenario though where like somebody, and I'm just, just throwing this out there, say that there was infidelity or, somebody, and by the way, I just truly, in college, I don't know if there's really such a thing, especially when you live down the street from a frat house, but
exactly.
People are, jealous and, you could be dating somebody one week, dating somebody the other. Would that really constitute like somebody getting so upset that they would commit a quadruple homicide? I mean, it's got like I've read stories about, mass killings, when there's like 2 or 3 and a lot of these people are like devil worshiping people that are supposed to be on some sort of medication. Now, I'm not saying, devil worshiping as like that's what this is. But it could be as simple as a mentally ill psychotic human knew that there were people in that house and went in there and did this because somehow, some way, maybe they heard voices in their head. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
So I don't know. I don't know if there's something crooked going on that the fraternity's involved in that could get them all in a lot of trouble, or if, I just don't know.
Right.
But then again, the chef fits the profile. When we've had profilers, he fits the profile a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't mean he did it either.
Right. No, that's true too. But like I said, who really, we're all just what do they call it? Peeing in the wind here. But as long as we speculate responsibly, there's nothing wrong with that.
No, there isn't. And it just, It bugs me some days. I think about it and think, how or who, or why.
Right.
So,
well, like I said, I think this
but
thing gets
anyway,
solved.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I appreciate your
listen,
call, Nita.
You have a You're welcome, and it's always good to talk to you, Josh.
Oh, thank you. Can't wait to talk to you soon. Okay.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Nita coming through with the fire. Caller, let's see. Go ahead. You're on the air.
Yeah.
Yep. Caller, you're on the air.
Yep. Hey, I value your opinions and your insights on some things. I really don't care to do this on the air. Would I be able to give you my number off the air, and would I be able to speak to you sometime in private? This was the best way that I found to get a hold of you was through this number tonight.
Well, there is an email, and so let me see here. Let's see. Somebody throw up the email. Yeah. Well, are you in the chat at all?
I am.
Okay. So we'll put. Is it pertaining to this case?
It is pertaining to this case. It is pertaining to some things that you've been through in your life that I'm currently going through. And I just wanted your opinion and your insight on some things.
Okay.
But I don't feel like sharing it with everybody that's listening.
Sure. No, I understand. Let's see. So if you email labratarmy@gmail.com, I'll get that email and be happy to do what I can.
I will email you my phone number, and I would greatly appreciate your help, and I love your show.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Have a
let me see here.
It'd be very difficult to not hear something. What's your take on it?
Well, I've also read where there was a person who had formerly lived in the house that said that he roomed on the first floor. And he couldn't hear anything going on the second, third floor. I don't know what this other person's definition of an old creaky house is, but that doesn't look to me to be an old creaky house. Certainly there's going to be creaks and so forth and so on. It's made out of wood, sticks, and bricks. So this is another person giving some information that really, it doesn't make any difference. It's just something that they want to, for whatever reason, want to interject themselves into this thing. They want to make a comment about it in regards to, and I've heard some well-known folks on the interwebs talking about how could they not hear this? How could they not hear this going? These two roommates in the first
right?
How could they not have heard this? How do we explain that? And that, to me, that is just sensationalism for its sake. And there is a completely logical reason why they didn't hear it. Number one, they were asleep. They may have been passed out. And I'm not suggesting that they were. I'm just saying that the circumstances may have been that case. And this is a silent killer moving through the house that what looks to me from the outside looking in appears that they knew where they were going to. And you have to remember that Ethan and Zana were on the second floor. And they were presumably, I would imagine the blood trail would be able to tell who was killed first. I'm just assuming that they were when this person.
Yeah,
if Kaylee was the one they were after.
I can barely hear it too.
Then they realized that this was not Kaylee, and they went up and found her, and then did what they did to Kaylee and Madison. So,
not
the
true.
Use of a bladed weapon. That's a silent killer, and this person apparently is efficient with the use of that weapon. So they could go in, do what they needed to do, make very little noise, and nobody would have heard anything happening.
So, Phil, before I sign you off, we have about 30 seconds. I want to ask you real quick. Is this case unique or bizarre in any way, or is this just standard from what you've seen in your experience? The only reason we're looking at it is because it's so much attention onto it. But is there anything unique or bizarre about it?
I think the only thing that's, to me, the only thing that is unique about it is where it took place in Moscow, Idaho, at the University of Idaho. That to me is the uniqueness of this case because of that community, because of I've said it before, in the last 15 years, they've had 7 homicides, and all of a sudden they have 4 in one day. So that's the only part of this that I would find unique. I mean, in terms of working the scene and the crime itself, there's evil in the world, and unfortunately it landed in Moscow, Idaho on that day.
And Felipe, we always appreciate listening to Felipe. He brings the fire. Let's see. Caller, go ahead. You're on the air.
Hi.
Hello.
Can you hear me? Okay.
I can.
So I think for me, I've always just thought JD was the guy, the most obvious. There's motive there. Just a lot of different clues that kind of made me feel that way. But I was watching somebody's video yesterday, and they were saying how nobody's really talked about an Ethan or Xana being the targets, and how it took so long for them to pinpoint what they were doing, between like 5 hours that night or whatever. And you brought it up just a second ago. You were like, well, what if it's a frat guy? And somebody was saying in this video that they think that Ethan had a disagreement with a guy because he was on steroids or something, and maybe he was going to tell and expose him. And so that's why maybe Kaylee's dad was saying, he didn't have to go upstairs, which that comment always kind of confused me as well. So I don't know. What is your thought? I had never really entertained that, and now I'm kind of open to that as well. What's your thought about that angle?
So what always made sense to me about that is it would explain the rage killing. If in fact there was a dispute and I've heard the same thing, and I can't verify that that's true or not, but it sounds logical. Like, that they definitely could have had. I think that Ethan was the target personally because of the sorority or the frat aspect of this case. I truly think that it has something to do with the frat aspect of it. What, I don't know. But if that steroid story has any validity, that would definitely explain the rage killing aspect of it, and somebody that's strong and whatever. Now, I don't know. I don't know if that story's true. I don't know. It's just hard to say. But yeah, I think that it is completely possible. Yes.
Yeah. Well, and, so many people, I don't think I've heard more than like 5 people ever mention it. And you're right. The Royd thing, like it's a lot of anger or whatever. And JD, if it was a crime of passion, I'm sure he could do it. But it kind of makes more sense for it to be something like drug induced. And I thought maybe too, I'm like, what if the kids at the house were drugged somehow? And maybe that's just too crazy of a can of worms to even open. But yeah, I just wish more people would talk about it. And so I'm glad you kind of brought up a little bit of it. But I think that definitely, if you feel like it, go more in depth, because I'm so curious about that whole angle myself.
I mean, one of the things that we can't pretend is that these kids, and it's not abnormal for kids to party, but this was a party house. College towns are there's a college town like 6 miles away from me. There's a bar out there, or no, sorry, not a bar. It's a square. And around the square, there's like 4 or 5 bars, right? And all the college students show up and party. And even if you're not a college student and you just show, you go there. And bad crap happens all the time. There's an unsolved murder from Arcata, California. A young man was stabbed and died in an open fight. It was such a big fight that, there was doubt of who actually did the stabbing. But there were witnesses too, okay? So they arrest somebody, then they release them. That kind of stuff happens all the time. There's always fights. There's always robberies. There's always... So, like Philip said here that, hey, it's weird because it's Moscow, but like even small college towns have major issues with fights and so it is completely possible that Ethan had a beef with somebody at this party because it's confirmed by police that they were at the frat house, correct?
Right.
Which is what?
And then they said that. I just remember them saying they couldn't account for those hours, and then I thought they said eventually that they were there the whole time. That's what I remember.
Yeah. So I agree. But there are some things about this that are starting to kind of become more clear. Meaning, like, I know people, like, is there anybody that thinks that this is a female that did this? I mean,
not me.
I don't know. Yeah, I just couldn't imagine. Not saying that that a female isn't capable of doing this. I'm sure that they are, and I'm sure somewhere in history that it's happened, but it is, I mean, it's predominantly male aggression, and then you add steroids on top of that. If that is in fact something that happened, Chris Benoit, do you know who Chris Benoit is?
Sounds very familiar, but I can't think of him off the top of my head.
Chris Benoit was a wrestler who was a heavy steroid user. Family. He was a family annihilator. Okay?
Yeah.
And he went nuts in the worst possible way. Okay. And what he did to his family was psychotic, and it was brutal, and it was sickening. And if you were to ask Chris Benoit's friends if he was that kind of person, they'd say no. And he did it. Okay. So I know people that have taken steroids. I've seen roid rage before. Now this would be, you know what I mean? Like so much.
Like roid rage on steroids.
Just but you know what? That even kind of makes sense though, doesn't it?
Yeah, no, it really does. It makes actually kind of the most sense. Like if you're looking at that probability that says what the easiest explanation is the correct one or whatever.
Right.
And I don't know. It just seems it makes the most sense to me. And I just butchered that, but yeah, I get you.
I do it every single night. I butcher something.
It's all good.
I was making pulled pork for Christmas dinner. And I was smoking the pork shoulder for like 13 hours, and then I fell asleep at the very end and caught it on fire.
Oh, that's awful. Did you feed it to your dogs or something at least?
No, it's still sitting there.
Oh. Okay. All right, well, your own.
Thank you for calling, though. I appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. Have a great night.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.
My sister just called, and I don't know why, but I probably... Yeah, I did. It did. It sucked. I was so bummed. I even got yelled at by my grandma because of it. She was like, I was looking forward to that. And I was like, jeez. You truly have the best chat. Thanks for letting me be here. Kayla, thank you so much for that. We really do have the best chat. It's no joke. Occam's Razor. Yep. I've always kind of subscribed to Occam's Razor. I don't know. Here, let's see. Let me just see what she, True. Yeah, it was kind of a bummer. So then I'm like, all right, well, I'm going to go to the store and buy some pulled pork. And then, of course, they were out of it. So we ended up having sandwiches. Yeah. It was linked to a bunch of stuff. Like, you know, it was kind of a bit of everything. My son-in-law, the brisket caught fire. Several fire extinguishers were used. She has a plunger. She doesn't need another one. Let me see. Hold on. Oopsie. Let me see here.
Taking the facts that we know, we're taking all tips that we know, and we're putting those pieces.
All right, one more time we're going to listen.
The puzzle together and painting that picture, but we're moving forward on this investigation, and we're not going to stop until we get a conclusion.
It's been 6 weeks since 4 University of Idaho students were murdered in their off-campus home. 6 weeks in, KREM 2 is still pushing for information from investigators of the Moscow homicides. KREM 2's Shannon Mowdy sat down one-on-one with the police chief to find out where the investigation stands today. And what can you tell us tonight, Shannon?
Moscow police are still gathering those tips and waiting on lab results tonight, and they are urging anyone who may know anything to come forward, submit a tip, because you may hold the key to solving this case.
In a release Tuesday afternoon, Moscow police announced there's still no identified suspect.
We already listened to the Chief French Fry. I know there's some people that like aren't a fan or whatever. Did you eat Chinese? No, I didn't. We ate sandwiches. Sandwiches. They did an update. I think I read the update. I think I did read the update. Let me just make sure that I didn't miss it. Yeah, I don't know. Where's my playlist? Okay, so I think we've been through most of that live. So we already talked about the driver DUI. So we talked about all that. Let's see. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the roid rage thing makes sense. The stranger theory makes sense. None of us are going to know anything until it's solved. I mean, I don't see crime sleuths, going, oh yeah, we got all the answers here. It's just not, unless you have access to like DNA and alibis and so on and so forth, and we're really not going to know anything. You can't solve this kind of crime without all the tangible facts and evidence. That's why hiring a private investigator would be absolutely 100% useless in the fact of they don't have access to the information that is needed. They just don't. Is there any update on the guy in Idaho that is lurking around wearing a press and media shirt and a hat? I don't think so. I hope not. I don't think there is. Yeah, I'm sure they did. Have fun. All the accusing people, when police have said nothing about people being suspects. I mean, yeah, it's gotten a little out of control, but anyway, lead poisoning. No, I don't know. That's the thing is I don't even care. Like I honestly don't care what anybody else does, as long as they're not getting in the way, Which, I mean, if you're going to Idaho, you're probably going to get in the way. But that's what they have jails for. Yes, they certainly have. And I think that a lot of the reason that they've stopped giving these updates is because they are absolutely tired of dealing with the psychoticness. It's yeah. Better wear a stab vest. Oh, jeez. Yeah, he. Yeah. I don't know, man. It's all fake. Like, oh, we're going into solve crimes, and it's just not true. It's not happening. You call it what it is. It's called a money grab. That's exactly what it is. We're going on a trip, and then you have like 4 or 5 people that are like, oh my God, let's do that. We want you to go. It's like, God. Literally, these people have ordinance, like they're having city ordinance like reinstated. They're having city ordinance reinstated from like 1942 because, people are like just doing what I have the constitutional right to this. It's like, you have the constitutional right to shut the hell up. Everybody, thank you for being here. Good night.
There is no investigation. This boy has.
There is not. Really? This to me.
Don't say any F's and stuff.
But I have to put her on the side and where
I'm gonna do what I gotta do for me and my boys and my kids.
Don't say any F's and stuff.
There is no investigation. This boy has.
There is not. Really? This to me. Rise, idiot.
I've done my best. It's hard, that's real tough.
But put her on the side and worry about the boys.
I'm gonna do what I gotta do for me and my boys and my kids.
Don't say any F's and stuff.
Live from the NBD Production Studios, you're in the lab with your host, Joshua Diaz.
There is no investigation. This boy has...
There's not, really? It is to me.
But I have to put her on the side and worry about the boys. But I have to...
There is no investigation.
Don't say any F's and stuff.
But I have to put her... But I have to put her on the side and worry about the boys.